program is about to begin, so please settle in. And I want to invite everyone to interact in the chat. Make sure you select to everyone. We want to have one big celebration here. So we hope you enjoy the show. It's about to begin.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Broward Youth Awards. My name is Mona Shamali. I'm the director of the New Leaders Initiative, a program of the Earth Island Institute, the organization that is producing tonight's event. I cannot be more pleased to welcome you this evening, and I would like to introduce my co-host, D'Anthony Jones.
Hello, everyone. And Mona, thank you so much again for asking me to do this. I'm D'Anthony Jones. I'm a Broward Youth Award alumni from the way back normal times of 2010. I'm here in San Francisco, California, holding it down. And of course, I'm excited to share the stage once again with Mona Shamali. Mona, thank you so much. And tonight we are going to be celebrating 6 amazing young environmental warriors in their community across North America. And I could not be more honored to be here tonight, even in the midst of these unprecedented circumstances we are living through. And just the amount of just drama that's going on around the world, it is always refreshing to be able to come to the Broward Youth Awards each year and really celebrate who's out there, especially in our generation and the generations behind minds that are leading the fight to make sure that our climate is one that we can thrive in for generations and generations to come. Now, I'm excited to also be here because, listen, this is the first time we're doing it on Zoom. So once again, these are unprecedented times, but we still find a way to push forward and make it through. And I could not be happier to also welcome all of the multitudes of allies, accomplices, friends, and family who are here to celebrate these amazing youth warriors tonight. And with that, I'm gonna kick it right back to Mona, my amazing co-host.
Everyone, I wanna tell you a little bit about the New Leaders Initiative. So here at New Leaders, we believe in growing young people to rise to the highest version of themselves, helping them remove obstacles between them and their dreams, to express their deeply felt passion and activism. We coach and support young people to envision and see a possibility for what they want to accomplish in the environmental movement.
Now, New Leaders is a program of Earth Island, a movement that supports organizations that fiscally sponsors over 80 environmental and community projects and change makers located all around the world. This year marks the 21st anniversary of the Broward Youth Awards, and each year we choose 6 youth from across North America who have shown outstanding leadership and accomplishment. This year's winners are all leaders in their movements. And since 2000, Earth Island Institute has recognized over 123 outstanding emerging young leaders representing accomplishments across the full spectrum of the environmental movement.
All of our winners tonight, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the theme for this year. So our theme is passion and purpose. And we chose this theme because this is what all of our winners have in common. Their activism is the reason for which they create and why they exist in the spaces that they are in. They are thought leaders with an intention, with an objective to be of service to our interconnected ecosystem. All of our winners tonight are stars that shine through our atmosphere. They give us direction. They guide us and push us forward as they imagine new ways of environmental mobilization. They galvanize people to reach their own highest self. Join me in celebrating our winners in this unique moment in time. Thank you.
All right, everyone. So we are about to go ahead and get started with this amazing ceremony this year. And for our first award winner, we go out to Hinsdale, Illinois, where we meet Alexandra Collins.
Right now in DuPage County, residents claim victory in a heated battle with Sterigenics. They claim the medical instrument sterilization company spewed a dangerous chemical into the air, a chemical that has been linked to cancer. Tonight, Sterigenics says it is closing the disputed plant in Willowbrook.
2 years ago, I found out that a local ethylene oxide emitter had been emitting a cancer-causing gas called ethylene oxide for a period of around 30 years. My community had a cancer rate around 9 times the national average. When I discovered this information, I knew I had to do something. So my sister and I started an organization called SATO, Students Against Ethylene Oxide, SATO for short. We really focus on the concerns of students. As a student, we don't have the choice to exercise, to go to sports practice, to study a mere 3 miles away from a ethylene oxide emitter that's spewing this odorless, colorless gas 24 hours a day.
As a young 15-year-old, she stepped right up and said, what could she do? And I was so impressed. She presented us with ideas she had to start a youth movement, a mini army of sorts. And she calls me a mentor, but really it's an honor to be affiliated with SATO.
We did this through letter writing, lobbying government officials, attending protests, and also organizing protests, as well as giving informative presentations in class that taught students and teachers about the danger ethylene oxide poses to their health.
Ethylene oxide is a class 1 carcinogen according to the World Health Organization, which means that when humans and animals are exposed to it, this chemical can mutate our genes and cause many harmful side effects.
I think as a teenager, sometimes it can be difficult to speak up about issues, even if you're super passionate about them. And SATO's collaboration with my high school's ecology club really gave me a community of other like-minded teenagers and the confidence to speak up about things I'm passionate about, including environmentalism, even when I'm the youngest person in the room, surrounded by local government officials or even Illinois EPA members.
Most recently, I launched SATO's first specialized project, ETO Free. The project's all-girl team coded and designed a website that reviews ethylene oxide-free beauty products. The website's easy availability of resources opens the floodgates of information to motivate girls to push for transparency in product labeling and production. I plan to continue spearheading resistance from energized young people in order to raise awareness about the cancer danger ETO poses to millions of Americans.
What's really unique about SATO is that instead of simply working towards ETO emissions and bans, we really hone in on those issues that are related to students. SATO focuses on showing students that their voices matter. My hope for the next generation is that they can take action and receive the answers that they want, that they're genuinely concerned about, so that they can solve issues and problems in their community.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Alexandra.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Collins. I am honored to be here today as a 2020 Broward Youth Awardee. I want to tell you about the day that I found out it was no longer safe to breathe the air in my classrooms. That day, EPA data maps showed that ethylene oxide, a class 1 carcinogen and a colorless and odorless gas, had been sneaking into my community's air for a period of over 30 years. After I learned that many of my peers were unaware about the dangers ethylene oxide posed to their future health, my sister and I started SATO, Students Against Ethylene Oxide. Through SATO, I strive to harness the energy of the youth to fight for a ban on ethylene oxide near schools. I've learned that in order for students to best advocate for their health, they must be aware of their identity. So let's explore identity. I am a coder and an activist, and I want to start off talking about that coding portion. I am a coder. No, I'm not like the coder that you see on television, hacking to the government and stealing trade secrets. My type of coding work is special. knowing how symbols, letters, and numbers can form together to create commands enables me to spread awareness about the dangers of ethylene oxide. But I didn't start off my activist work knowing and having this coding superpower. In fact, I didn't always see myself in this way. The stereotypical coder from the movies drove me away. Coding looked daunting, and I mostly saw people who didn't quite look like me excelling in the field. And it wasn't until I gained the courage to attend my first hackathon this past spring that I first saw coding's endless possibilities. At the hackathon, I was scared, but I told myself I would not be embarrassed. And because I was not embarrassed, the hackathon became an opportunity for me to learn the basic syntax of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, 3 languages that I would soon use to help build Sato's ETO-free website. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is that embarrassment is an emotion that blocks most of us from action. As an activist, I think taking action without embarrassment is a key to creating change. Whether you're young or you're old, I challenge all of you here today to not be embarrassed for 1 week. Just try it. Look to see how your attitude towards embracing your identity, towards finally actually doing those things you've always wanted to do, changes. On the note of change, I want to give a huge thank you to the Broward Youth Awards, the New Leaders Initiative, and the Earth Island Institute for giving the 5 wonderful people on this call and me the opportunity to create change in our communities. I want to give a thank you to my mentors and for my family for always guiding me and building up my confidence so that I cannot be embarrassed. I also want to give a thank you to my teachers for their endless help and encouragement. Thank you to all my fellow community activists from groups like the ETO Sleuths and Stop Sterogenics for supporting Sato. Thank you to all of the Sato students for spending hundreds of hours coding, researching, lobbying, and creating in order to fight for stronger legislation on ethylene oxide emissions near schools. And finally, a huge thank you to all of you here tonight. I know Zoom calls can get a little bit awkward, so I really do appreciate you taking your time to listen to my story. Now, I leave you all with my challenge. Don't be embarrassed. Thank you again, and good night.
Well, thank you so much, Alexandra, for your leadership and just for the innovative work that you have been doing on the front lines. Thank you so much, and welcome to the Broward Youth Award family. For our next winner, we head out to the East Coast, to Bethesda, Maryland, where we meet our next winner, Chunder Payne.
I envision a world where I walk into an underserved neighborhood and see colorful beets and tomatoes growing all around me. A world where every kid has a close relationship with living soil and access to healthy, fresh food. Youth activists are unique because we speak from the heart, bring the energy, and never take no for an answer. So many of us have seen something or learned something in our lives that shook us to the core and sprung us into action for the common good. It all started during my sophomore year of high school. I walked into my school cafeteria and saw that the vegetable of the day was the French fry. That was crazy, and it really hit me how there was a food desert in my own school. I looked into the vegetable refrigerator and it was empty. I took a photo to remember. So I created an urban farm at my school. It started as 1 raised bed, then when we built our team it grew to 3 and then 5. And then finally, it even had a solar-powered vertical farm. It had 7-foot sunflowers and these beautiful butterflies, and it was thriving.
What impressed me the most about Chunder is he took this small idea he had in his sophomore year of high school and grew it into this huge project by his senior year. And in his senior year, he was looking into expanding it to multiple schools throughout the county and trying to get these urban gardens up and running even now as he's entering college.
Chunder is truly one of a kind. He's incredibly committed, determined, and it can be really seen through his work with Urban Beat and creating this organization.
I founded Urban Beat to connect urban communities with their soil for the healing of both. We create urban farms to offer fresh produce and community work days to youth experiencing homelessness. So far, our network of urban farms has provided 3,000 pounds of fresh produce to homeless shelters and people in food deserts in the Washington, D.C. area.
What impresses me most about Chunder is his passion for learning about gardening and then spreading that knowledge with everyone that he can. He's very ambitious about spreading this movement that he's created to as many students, as many children, as many organizations as possible.
I strive to bring fresh food closer to people in my city, and so I created a program called Free Little Farms where we deliver container gardens so that people in food deserts in DC during the pandemic can grow their very own fresh vegetables, whether that be in their windowsill, the common area of a shelter, or literally anywhere. So I'm really excited about that program.
I've always been really impressed with Chunder's amazing ideas. Over the years, they've evolved and grown, and it's grown into Urban Beat, which is just such an amazing idea. It always impresses me on his ability to come up with new ways to help our community and new and creative ways, and to work with other people to make such a large impact.
Urban Beat, now an incorporated LLC, has raised almost $20,000 in donations, donated 2,500 pounds of fresh produce, and provided 200 free little farms. Love for the soil binds my goals and has grown them along with my farm. From filling an empty vegetable refrigerator to recreating how we responsibly grow food, to giving every kid access to fresh vegetables. As I grow Urban Beat, I will keep connecting students with gardening, families with real food, and everyone with the soil. I hope for peace in our communities. I have a goal to help create a food system that regenerates our common ground, my hero, the soil.
It seems like he's trying to take over the world with gardening, and I fully support that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the virtual stage, Chunder.
Have the privilege of joining the other outstanding awardees is truly humbling. Thank you to the Broward Youth Award for encouraging me in my project, Urban Beat. Thich Nhat Hanh, a global peacemaker, says, "No mud, no lotus." My story embodies his point. I founded Urban Beat to heal the soil and surrounding urban communities, but first, the soil healed me. In 10th grade, I was experiencing chronic neck pain due to the stress of seeing my mom bedridden by a disability. One day after school, my mind was racing, and I walked into my family's small vegetable garden. There I saw my dog Santa, a rescued Labrador, expeditiously digging up a patch of herbs. I allowed her to finish up, and then I stuck my hands in the ground to undo her work. Feeling the vibrant, powdery soil in my hands offered me a deep release. As founder of Urban Beat, I work to offer underserved students and homeless young people that very same release by creating healing urban farms for them to enjoy and growing food to provide them with nourishment. Since 2016, Urban Beat has built 4 urban farms and schools and delivered 2,500 pounds of farm fresh meals to food insecure people in Washington, D.C. I made sure to give Santa credit for the idea. To this day, she's listed on our website as the Dirt Director. I practice and teach regenerative agriculture, a set of farming techniques that builds healthy soil in order to sequester carbon into the ground. Living soil also means healthy, nutrient-dense plants and thus better nourishment for the youth we host at our farm community workdays. One of the young people who attends our workdays, whose name I can't share, is an 8-year-old boy from Senegal who is a domestic violence survivor. He's so inspiringly curious. He asks me questions nonstop. What is this plant? Lettuce. How do you stop a bully? The parallels between the regenerative properties of soil and the healing of this young boy are undeniable. As one community workday comes to a close, he and the other children leave with their fresh cucumber salads prepared by our partners at True Food Kitchen and materials for growing food at their shelter. My goal as a change maker is to help create a global food system for people, not corporations, that regenerates our common ground, my hero, the soil. I envision a world where I walk into Southeast DC and see colorful beets, carrots, and tomatoes growing all around me. A world where every kid has a close, accessible relationship with living soil and fresh food. A world where underserved kids in DC can stick their hands in the ground just like I did and feel at peace. Thank you so much to the Earth Island Institute for supporting this vision. I hope you will join this movement towards a food system that truly nourishes. Plant a seed, watch it grow, and you'll become a farmer sooner than you know. Everyone a change maker, everyone a carbon farmer. Yes, each one of you. Thank you to everyone I love out there supporting me on this call.
Wow, Chunder, thank you so much for all of your inspirational work, and welcome to the Broward Youth Award family. We're going to move on to our next award winner by way of Troy, Michigan. Please welcome Danielle Boyer.
Next to me is Danielle, a 19-year-old wonder person who has put together a STEAM-friendly $18.95 kit that gives access to robotics and electronics for kids that might not otherwise have access to it.
As you said, my name is Danielle Boyer, and I'm an Indigenous educator, entrepreneur, author, and inventor in STEAM, so science, tech, engineering, art, and math. I focus on increasing diversity, accessibility, and affordability in STEAM education so that all kids, no matter their financial status, can have access to good STEAM education. I execute my goals in making STEAM more accessible in really cool ways through my organization, The STEAM Connection, which I started in January 2019, and I'm the most proud of my environmental activism work that I do to promote STEAM among children, a robot that I invented named Every Kid Gets a Robot that costs less than $20 and goes to kids for free. I have a series of children's books that I also give to kids for free that promote diversity in STEAM, my free community classes that I put on where I've taught thousands of kids, and my 35 robotics teams that I mentor in my community. I have 2 all-girls teams, and they're my babies.
What instantly struck me about Danielle was the fact that she cared. Her work ethic, perseverance, and kindness that she maintains in everything she does, from making robots to educating children, has inspired me to become a more prolific researcher and dive further into my own volunteering to work towards a cause that I am passionate about.
Being a teen, I'm very close to the age of the students that I work with, and I'm able to create solutions that I know they're gonna love. Like my affordable robotics kit named Every Kid Gets a Robot, that's made out of biodegradable and recycled plastic.
What's really unique about what she does is that she cares about doing it in a sustainable way. Danielle's really figured out a way to help those in the community while being sustainable at the same time. I asked about a particular design feature of her flagship educational robot kit. She said that the biodegradability of PLA made it the prime candidate for a highly produced educational tool. Even before starting her college education, she is an engineer that will help revolutionize environmental sustainability.
Just seeing her start so many amazing movements and projects at such a young age always encourages me to do my best. She's my role model, and I aspire to be like her every day. She's part of the reason I want to be an environmental engineer when I grow up.
She holds a bunch of classes assembling the ECR so they can get all aspects of STEM, mechanical, electrical, and then coding as well. And then she also uses SolidWorks app for kids, so she can teach the young kids about like prosthetics and stuff like that. And they do their own mini like crazy creations like prosthetic arm or leg.
Yeah, it's so
really
cool.
Fun.
What's your favorite part about the robot?
My favorite part was probably designing it and wiring the breadboard.
My favorite part is the design. It's really simple and it only costs less than $20.
I enjoyed being able to customize it and being able to make it move
Danielle is changing the world of environmental education and innovation through promoting the ways that engineering can really open your mind up and help you become a better innovator and help you create creative solutions to the world problems.
The bond between engineering education and environmental innovation of the present and future has a very, very strong link. And we need to promote that to scientists, educators, politicians, so that we're able to promote a future of forward thinking where kids are able to tackle the problems that they're faced with. I hope that we can continue to provide opportunities to children who are traditionally left behind and to continue to seek out the children who are typically marginalized and give them the opportunities that they deserve to have.
Ladies and gentlemen, a virtual round of applause for Danielle.
Thank you so much for being with me here tonight. I won this award because of people like Vinaya Gunashekar, a 12-year-old student of mine. For a long time, there was just Vinaya and her dream to change the world. She was composed of a desire to fight for the change that she wanted to see, of creativity, of intelligence, and of passion. She was trying to overcome what the world says about young girls changing the world. She was trying to become something that mattered. Growing up and being surrounded by a daily bombardment of news on our climate crisis, of the countless numbers of species going extinct, of pollution, is exhausting. How does one even start to make it better? How do we take this mess and this horror and create beauty and hope from it? How do we convince those who control our world that protecting it matters? She hadn't even started middle school, but she knew she had to do something. But how? Without even a degree, how does someone start making change at such a young age? It wasn't until being introduced to science and technology through initiatives like her all-girls robotics team that I mentor that she realized that she could use her skills to make the impact that she knew would make a difference. From writing her own environmental book to conceptualizing a robot that recognizes and picks up recyclables off of school floors, to starting a podcast with me on environmental innovation and technology, Vinaya is a leader and a groundbreaker. We may be small girls in a big world, but the change that we are making is powerful. Vinaya's experiences showcase her tenacity, her power, and her strength, and how it is encompassed by her daily fight to improve the world for you and for me. It is because of kids like her that I'm sitting here today as a Brower Youth Award winner. I believe that engineering and environmental education is quickly becoming more and more crucial in this 21st century world, and it creates a social imperative to ensure students have access to these valuable resources. Vinaya is an example of why this education is so important, showing what happens when we foster kids' passions and talents through technology. I work to help students take back the power in their own lives, paving a way for a more sustainable and innovative future. By making these educational resources more widely available, I help children realize their true potential as environmental innovators and to simultaneously garner interest in science and technology careers, all while developing a tangible love for our Earth. However, not everyone can access these educational opportunities equally. People of color especially are getting left out of these key resources. I first became aware of the impact of disparate access to quality technical education at a pretty young age. This especially stood out to me as someone who's Indigenous. Seeing how students were being held back even in their classes at school because of their limited access to things like technology knowledge poses a huge risk to the future of our Earth. While I fight for our Earth in my own way, I think that a beautiful thing about all of our individual work and interests is how we can use our skills and our knowledge to educate and give a hand to the kids who need it the most, kids who would otherwise be overlooked. I think every child has the power to be a change maker, a force to be reckoned with. But
Without key learning opportunities, children struggle to reach their full potential as our Earth innovators. Thank you, Earth Island Institute, for giving a voice and a platform to science and technology education, and for recognizing how that plays such a significant role in the future of our Earth. In the words of the young inventor Ali Weber, our youth are not the future. We are here right now. We are not going to change the world someday because we are already doing it. Thank you.
With that, as we move on in this inspiring Broward Youth Awards, we want to go on down to Mexico City, Mexico, for our next Broward Youth Award winner, the amazing Diego Ariola Fernandez.
Kids speak with their hearts. When youth or teens finally speak up about something or fight for a cause, it's because something big is happening, like a huge problem is out there that demands action.
Mexico is a beautiful country, full of biodiversity and some of the greatest beaches in the world. However, environmental awareness is urgent. I want to form more environmental leaders, prepared to raise their voices, inspiring people towards a truly sustainable future. I was born in Mexico City, far away from the ocean or forests, so my closest contact with nature was probably Chapultepec's lake. Since I was 7 years old, one of my biggest passions has been public speaking. I have taken part in many contests, not only at my school, but also traveling around the country. Any chance of sharing my thoughts or raising my voice about an important subject is really enjoyable for me.
Hola a todos. Buenas tardes. El próximo año vamos, el próximo año. Lo único que nos queda es ir hacia arriba. Entonces, yo les propongo a todos ustedes.
My name is Diego Arreola. I'm from Mexico City.
But I never really stood up for any specific cause. And then, Ocean Heroes Bootcamp happened. In June 2019, I had the opportunity to attend this 3-day camp in Vancouver, and I can say it completely changed my life.
The thing that has really impressed me about Diego is that he's been able to so powerfully and so passionately use his voice as an advocate for the change he wants to see as it relates to the ocean. And beyond that, he's really committed himself to helping other young people find and be comfortable and assertive with their own voice to be able to create the change that they want to see in the world.
Ocean Heroes Bootcamp 2019 gave me a purpose because it really touched me, finding out about everything that was happening in the world because of our selfishness and irresponsibility. So I returned to Mexico, determined to show more people what was happening and inspire them to make a change. So I try to make a lot of things in every single area of my life to inspire other people, especially children. I started making rooms out of recycled plastic bottles. I made some motivational videos with my friends and started a campaign in social media. I submitted a proposal to my school, and I kind of ended up becoming a role model for other teenagers and children because there wasn't really a teen doing this stuff in Mexico caring about the environment. And then I also had the opportunity to give lectures to teens, adults, and over 50 children. And I realized that most of them had amazing ideas and experience and insight, but they didn't know how to express themselves or really raise their voices. So that's how I created Green Speaking, which aims to teach these children with amazing ideas to raise their voices, express themselves, and really contribute to make change and inspire others.
Este trabajo Diego le ha puesto mucho empeño, ha tenido muchísima gente comprometida en querer estar en ella y creo que este plan tiene mucho futuro.
I want people in Mexico to be responsible with the environment, to be aware that their daily decisions have a huge impact in our planet.
¿Qué dices? ¿Quieres salvar el mundo con nosotros?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce Diego.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to be here, and it's actually a bit unexpected and weird to be talking to a camera, but I just want to say, first of all, I want to congratulate the other 5 winners. Hello also to their families and friends, and to my own family and friends also. And thank you, Mona and Anthony, for making this possible and so great and so entertaining. And okay, so first of all, it is an honor to be here. And as you can see in my video, it was a bit unexpected for me to be here. Like this year, a lot of unexpected things have happened. But a year ago, I would have never imagined I would be standing here today, talking to such honorable people, receiving this award for creating green speaking, and for inspiring people in my community to take action against the huge environmental crisis we are facing. And in fact, as you could see also, a year ago, my life completely changed due to something very particular, something that happened. And I am going to tell you my story. So I'm going to try to be brief, possibly 3 to 4 minutes. And at the end, I will give my acknowledgements or thank yous. So we are on June 30, 2019. And I was delivering my pitch at the final ceremony of that year's Ocean Heroes Bootcamp. And as soon as I started talking, I realized it was the first time I addressed this topic, the environmental topic, and also doing it in English. So my mind went completely blank. I forgot everything that I was supposed to say at that pitch. I think some of you may know what I'm talking about. But then the strangest thing happened, because words started to come from the bottom of my heart. And then suddenly, all the knowledge I learned at the bootcamp and before, and my public speaking passion since I was 5 years old, began to make sense, like the pieces of a puzzle. And at the end, seeing so many people touched and inspired by my words, I felt so empowered and fulfilled. I knew at that moment I wanted to do exactly that for the rest of my life. And that's the day I found my vocation. So coming back to Mexico, that feeling stuck with me, that feeling of empowerment, and motivated me to start incorporating this new knowledge, this new passion into everything I could, every activity. For example, I remember the first project, the school project, was to make a video, a motivational video, and my friends and I did a plastic pollution video to show our class how to reject plastic and the alternatives and solutions. I also remember then that I had the opportunity to talk to my mom's students, and I decided to give them a lecture about plastic pollution and the 4 Rs. And eventually, I ended up being deeply involved in campaigns in Mexico and school projects, but also in international movements. And here is something that I want to highlight from the pandemic. So this is like the good thing I got from the pandemic. Putting aside all the bad, horrible things that have happened, I was able to trust and rely much more on technology and give virtual conferences and do campaigns with my friends from Reno, Nevada, from Hawaii, Vancouver, Spain, New Delhi, Dubai, and inspire kids, teens, and adults to raise their voices and to get involved into the environmental justice movement. And now it's been a long time since that first pitch where everything began. And I must say, it was a turning point in my life. Just imagine, I was surrounded by so inspired and passionate people, from businessmen to activists and kids from all over the world, eager to learn, in a place, Vancouver, filled with nature, in a university, one of the most responsible and eco-friendly universities in the world, UBC, and I felt so inspired, and I am very proud to say today that I have been able to share that inspiration with my own community. And that is exactly what green speaking is. Forming a community of young environmental leaders prepared to raise their voices and take action against the huge environmental crisis we are facing. But in order to change Mexico and the world, what we need are 3 special ingredients in order for all of this dream to be possible. So first of all, as Danielle was saying, we need education. Education is very important. It is essential in order to solve problems, that we know what's happening, why, who is causing it, and how can we resolve it. So, therefore, green speaking provides resources and knowledge, but in a fun and interesting way, so that everyone can understand, from a young kid to an adult, and be engaged and really care for what's happening. So now people is informed, but we need them to be confident. Green speaking turns shy kids into young environmental leaders that take the advantage, take the best from their opportunities, from their situation, and push themselves and those around them towards success. Which takes us to the last ingredient. And this is a very special one. And you might be thinking, I am talking about resilience. And though resilience it is very important, we shall not just recover or adapt during this crisis, but improve. We need to take the best and learn and improve ourselves and our situation and change the paradigm once and for all. So this ingredient is about taking the best and improving and doing in the favor of others. We have seen it, this ingredient, in a man from Atlanta who had a dream and inspired thousands with it, achieving eventually historical change in the African American civil rights movement. This ingredient was also present in a teenage girl from Pakistan who had the courage to fight for education and human rights against Taliban forces, even after an assassination attempt, always true to herself and her principles. This ingredient has been present in a man with limitless capacities from Australia, who realized that the most important thing is our heart, and then become a self-improvement example to the world. And finally, this special ingredient has been very present in a young Swedish girl who became the leader of this youth movement, inspiring thousands of kids and even adults to take action, overcoming not only Asperger, but the harassment and criticism for thousands and dozens of world leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, what we need in order to beat plastic pollution, climate change, and every environmental problem is determination. We need now more than ever determined kids, teens, and adults, informed, and then determined to change the world. I am determined to share this message with everyone, especially those who are afraid to raise their voices and make them believe in themselves. Know that they are not fighting alone, that they are fighting within a community that is called green speaking. I hope it wasn't too much time now. I just got to say my thank yous. And first of all, of course, I want to thank the New Leaders Initiative and the Earth Island Institute for honoring me with this award and for their excellent guidance these past months. Thank you very much. I also want to thank the Ocean Heroes Network and my fellow Ocean Heroes friends from the Bootcamp 2019 and 2020 for inspiring me and bringing me to this moment. Of course, my school, my teachers, Semper Seika, and my friends, gracias por su apoyo siempre. I'm about to cry. My family, especially my mom, who is beside me, watching me. very excited to all of you for your unconditional support and love. And finally, I want to dedicate this award to all the brave activists in Mexico and Latin America who are fighting for our planet, even if that means risking their own homes and their own lives. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Diego, and welcome to the Broward Youth Award family. Our next winner is in Andover, Minnesota. And please welcome Isabella Walmo.
So often we look at plants we label as weeds for what they take away from a garden, whether that be physical space from the garden, nutrients from the soil, or a certain idea of beauty we have in our minds. But what if we looked at these weeds for what they add rather than what they take away? Have we even stopped to consider that what we consider weeds might actually add value to the soil, to insects, to animals, to other plants, and to the land?
So I have been volunteering for 2 years so far at the Warrenville, Illinois Youth Center, which is a nearby juvenile detention center. During that time, I noticed this courtyard space, which was pretty unused and underutilized, and I was just, the wheels were turning about ways to use this space. And I read about a book about permaculture and loved the holistic idea of building resilient spaces and resilient communities that are focused on both plants and people. I thought, we could do this here. This could be something that happens here.
I decided to reach out to a local permaculture gardening organization called the Resiliency Institute and collaborate with detention center staff and youth to develop plans for a summer gardening program that we named the Seeds for Change Garden Project. We decided on the permaculture gardening model because this model intentionally and creatively seeks to view liabilities as assets.
Incarcerated youth are often viewed through the lens of their mistakes rather than their value, i.e. as weeds rather than seeds. I believe that our society, not unlike a garden, would grow exponentially more healthy and beautiful if we were to integrate diverse perspectives into our policies and practices.
Permaculture is a holistic design system, so we needed to learn about the actual system that's already in place. It's a prison system, so they have things that have to be done in a certain way, and we were going to have to implement our design to work into that existing system. And so we also started talking to the people involved and getting feedback on what they wanted to see in this garden, so that we were involving all aspects of the system, so everyone was included in order to make it sustainable.
Seeing the kids experiencing things for the first time. When I see them and I see their face doing something that they never did before, that actually makes me emotional. I'm happy, that they actually get an opportunity to do it. A lot of them, they want to change. They really do. But with society viewing them as weeds, they throwing them away, and a lot of kids, it makes them feel hopeless. But seeing you all at such young ages and coming in and, being persistent and just having the willingness to work with this type of population, it speaks volumes.
My experience with incarcerated youth, these young people are intelligent, funny, and full of incredible ideas for change within this broken system of our society.
I just remember seeing her eyes light up with this fervor to say, these youth have the ability to create, they have the ability to produce things, to be agents in their own story.
I enjoyed planting things and watching it grow.
It was an experience that I will cherish for the rest of my life.
The garden was a lot of fun. It was a getaway place for me, planting fruits and vegetables, moving the wood to the garden, and not to mention the posters we had made. It was one of my favorite places to be.
I never imagined planting things and landscaping was so much fun. Great experience overall.
And in these past 2 years of learning the beautiful, messy, unique, and challenging life stories of dozens of incarcerated youth, I've come to realize that so many of these young people do not need punishment, they need healing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce Isabella.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Isabella Walmo, and I'm the founder of the Seeds for Change Garden Project, which is a permaculture gardening program and a juvenile detention center in Illinois. Oftentimes, gardens are comprised of neat rows and designed in a way that maximizes efficiency, control, and short-term output. Weeds are quickly plucked in order that the nutrients and energy would be maximized in the intentionally planted sprouts. But what if increasing energy in these sprouts did not require removing energy from other plants? You see, the structure of the garden significantly shapes the development of life within the garden. And what if we could structure that garden in a way that promotes holistic flourishing rather than control and short-term gain? That's where the holistic gardening approach of permaculture comes in, which utilizes methodologies that indigenous communities have been using for centuries that significantly contradict the capitalist-driven nature of monoculture in our society. In a similar vein, the criminal justice system in many ways functions as a place where the weeds in our society go. Our societal structures in many ways have failed to promote human flourishing. But what might it look like to orient our societal structures in such a way that promotes flourishing rather than marginalizing valuable human lives in our society? For 3 years now, I've been volunteering at a juvenile detention center in Illinois. Through building relationships with the incarcerated youth and being a part of their lives, I came to realize that most of the time, if I was in their situation, I probably would have done the same thing that landed them at the juvenile detention center. After recognizing the multi-layered traumas that the justice system creates in human bodies, I realized that it was my duty to be a part of the solution. Upon learning about permaculture gardening and the intricate parallels between our food system and the US criminal justice system, I had the opportunity to collaborate with a local permaculture gardening organization called the Resiliency Institute and detention center staff, and most importantly, the incarcerated youth, to create a permaculture garden within the detention center. The vision for this space was to be one of healing, learning, and growth for the incarcerated youth. Not only would the youth participate in the program, but they would be central to each decision made regarding the direction of the program. And my hope and prayer is that this speech would not just be an explanation of a garden program that receives claps at the end for the good work I'm doing, but rather a moment and space created for intentional recognition of the systemic injustices that yet remain in our society, and the need for each one of us to leverage our time, resources, and talents toward human flourishing. Thank you.
All right. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, everyone. Finally, and thank you so much, Isabella, and welcome to the Broward Youth Award family. And now we go up to Canada in Haida Gwaii, where we meet our final winner and our newest member of the Broward Youth Award family. Please welcome Hannah Edenshaw.
My name is Hannah Edenshaw. I'm an Indigenous and environmental youth activist working to steward over my land, Haida Gwaii, as my people have done since time immemorial. I am one of 15 youth activists suing the Canadian federal government for the effects of climate change. My lawsuit is part of a global movement of youth supported by Our Children's Trust about youth holding their governments accountable to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and safeguard our constitutional rights. The Canadian government's actions regarding climate change are something that affects my life right now. I'm a part of this lawsuit to protect my land, my people, my family, and my culture. As a Haida youth, I know that land and culture are inseparable, and to lose one would be to lose the other. My rights to life, liberty, and security of person, my rights to equality, and my public trust rights are being violated by the Canadian government.
My name is Jess Kwan Amanda Bedard. I am Hannah Edenshaw's mother. Giga Toth is her Haida name. I've witnessed from a very young age Hannah's determination to make a difference, her intelligence, her asking of questions when things aren't right, which has led her to her current action. She's taking the Canadian government to court over climate change, her and another group of youth across Canada, and she's representing our Haida heritage and our Haida worldview in doing so.
As a Haida language learner and Indigenous and environmental activist, I had the privilege of speaking at the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues in 2019. I gave a speech all in Haida and made a recommendation, and I think that experience taught me a lot about Indigenous nations.
Hannah listens intently and speaks from a place of strength that comes from her family, community, elders, and the lands and waters on which she was raised. Hannah is a remarkable leader. She is making waves around the world with the lawsuit and with her work on climate change.
With every year of inaction, the effects of climate change become worse. And we are working to force the government's hand to acting faster, therefore mitigating the effects of climate change to something livable and creating a better world for future generations. I hope that my grandchildren and their children still have land to fight for.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hannah to the stage.
Hello, Isis. Good people. Gugatash hinu di had kishkan. My Haida name is Gigatash. Cheatskitne stu diaskagang. Haida stu diaskagang. I'm from the Cheatskitne clan of the Haida Nation. I'm so honored to be here today over Zoom, and I wanted to thank the Brower Youth Awards for allowing me this chance to speak and to learn from my inspiring co-award winners and to share my story as a student suing the Canadian government for their actions regarding climate change. I have been working for climate action my whole life, in a way. I have grown up fostering a great respect for the land. I have grown up on the stories of the land, stories of my father and my grandfather and generations going back farther than I can conceptualize. During Canada's 150-year anniversary, I was about 10, and my father was making a totem pole for a village site on Haida Gwaii, a place called Windy Bay in the Haida Heritage Site and National Park of Gwaii-Haanis. The protection of Gwaii-Haanis, and of the land I learned and lived and played on, my ability in that time to see 1,000-year-old trees in pristine conditions and ancient village sites, and the home of my ancestors, was wholly dependent on the sacrifices and work and power of my nation, of my grandfather and the Haida community. They stood up for the protection of this sacred space, and it was a long, hard battle, but they won. Gwaii-Haanis is a protected area now. It is due to these community members that I can enjoy and have my life changed by that space. This experience was really powerful to me, and I would like to think that this lawsuit can be my version of that, my stand, so that future generations can be shaped by the land and have the land grow them up, as it has for me, so that people can take our pristine conditions for granted, as I did when I was young. That is the ultimate luxury, total security in the land to the extent that it's just normal. That is what I want for Haida Gwaii's future. But if that is not possible, it is my honor and responsibility to preserve Haida Gwaii so that future generations have enough of the land to fight for. So this motivated me to sue the federal Canadian government, because I have the chance to fight for my rights, because my culture and my history and the livelihood of my family depend on my right to clean air and water, because my language is really, really at risk, and every aspect of it comes from the land. Without one, we lose the other. I am suing the Canadian government because due to climate change, I have lost any semblance of cultural security, and my food security is at risk. Things that we depend on, fish, seaweed, yellow cedar, are already being impacted by climate change and are projected to only get worse. A healthy community needs a clean environment. I am suing the federal Canadian government as I have the right to a clean environment and to cultural and food security. Climate change is impacting me and my rights as protected in the Canadian Charter. My rights to equality, to life, liberty, and security of person, and my public trust rights are being impacted by climate change. The same is true of my 14 co-plaintiffs from around Canada. The same is true for all Canadian youth, especially disproportionately affected Indigenous youth. We are standing up for our rights this way, as we cannot vote, so we must seek protection through the court system. Canada's contribution in the climate crisis has yet again proved that my health and well-being, that of Indigenous peoples, that of youth, is not reflected as a priority by the government's actions. As I have seen for my whole life, my rights be treated as optional by the Canadian government. I have seen that attitude carried on until this day, and I am so grateful for our amazing lawyers and sponsors and people who have made this lawsuit possible, for my family and community and the inspiring people who have empowered me and made me feel like a fight for my rights is a fight I can win. From what I have learned and seen my whole life, I can recognize what a rare and incredible thing it is that an Indigenous girl in Canada feels that a fight for her rights is one she could win. I hope that this lawsuit inspires other young people and young Indigenous people. I have been so supported and inspired, and I have learned so much from other members of my community, and I aspire to help other youth and encourage them, because we need more Indigenous voices in the climate movement. This is not just about protecting our land, it is about protecting every aspect of who we are. Thank you so much for listening.
So tonight's show is going to go on in a wonderful opportunity to have a Q&A Meet the Winners event happening on October 20th, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. So please join us for this event where we will answer all your questions in the chat. So before we say goodnight, I would like to ask you to join our movement. I present you with the opportunity to give. And before I do that, I'm going to pass the mic over to D'Anthony Jones, who is an alumni, who will give a testimonial to his experience with the Broward Youth Awards.
Thanks, Mona. And, you know, once again, you see why the work of the Broward Youth Awards, the New Leaders Initiative, and the Earth Island Institute is so important. As you know, I am an alumni of this award, and this award really changed my life back in 2010. It was my last year in high school. And of course, you know, being in San Francisco where the award ceremony is usually held, you know, I was able to celebrate with my community and celebrate with my fellow award winners for the work that they were doing and they are doing in their respective communities. And that support goes a long way. That support led to opportunities to spread the message about environmental justice and, in my case, environmental racism, as well as recycling. And it allowed me to also really deepen my knowledge on these issues. And through the work of award winners in my class before and after, was able to understand how that work could be deepened. And I'll also add that the investment you make tonight will also go towards the projects that these award winners that you've met tonight are leading, and award winners past and future as well. And you'll also be supporting other projects that will lead to a more equitable society in terms of environmental justice, in terms of addressing environmental racism, food insecurity, as well as making sure that we, as the future and current generations, have clean air to breathe. So this is not just a feel-good donation. This is a movement we invite you to. Some of you may not be able to give because of this economic climate. Give time. Talk to your friends who may be able to give financially. And once again, this movement is continuing to spread and continuing to grow. So tonight, your support will go a long way in making sure the work gets done on the ground, and also making sure that we're building the platform for the next crop of Broward Youth Award winners.
So tonight, to donate, simply go to our website, broweryyouthawards.org, and click the donate button on the top right. So it is time to say goodnight, and I would like to invite all of the winners up to the stage for one last time. And don't forget to join us at the Q&A event on October 20th, 5:30. Thank you so much for being with us tonight and celebrating these young winners. And everyone, come on up.
Woo!